Hey guys, what's going on? This is Bunny Muffins. I'm going to be focusing more on the mid to late game right now, just to show you guys some compositions that really work for me, as along with some item combinations. Here we're playing 4 Wild, 3 Sorcerer, and 2 Brawler right now, and we are in the mid game. You might have noticed my Morgana items, and they are pretty funny. They one-shot teams in the mid game. I wish I had a recording of that earlier, but they literally insta-wipe teams, insta-wipe wolves with the Hat, Guardian Angel, and Spell Crit combination. It does take a little luck to get that. I actually started with Hat and Spell Crit right away. So it pretty much allowed me to win streak after the first couple rounds once I found a sorcerer that could use the items. And Morgana was pretty much just the first sorcerer that I found and completed. But I would have honestly put those items on anyone. But you'll see here, one of my favorite compositions is using sorcerers, just because of the highly contested champions such as Jinx and Draven using Giant Slayer, same with Kai'Sa. I feel that it's really inconsistent for me, and you could really only do it if you get a sword on the first carousel. If not, you have to kind of get lucky to do it. So I'd rather just full commit to the sorcerer comps by going for AP ability power in the first carousel. I just feel that it's more consistent for me and more in line with my play style. It's harder to win with this composition since it is, when you're running dragons, you are countered by double Giant Slayer or by Kai'Sa. So I tend to just go for these types of builds instead. Here I'm actually making Sorcerer because Twisted Fate is kind of like a flex Sorcerer. You don't really need him. He just kind of accelerates your team, but if you're able to save a lot of slots by taking him out with the Sorcerer item, completely worth it. And I would not go 6 Sorcerer because, well, there are just way too many dragon buffs in this game, so we want to avoid that at all costs. So here our Morgana was not able to get a good ultimate. She's kind of falling off at this point because people have really strong backlines. It's kind of like Kennen and Aatrox. They're not as strong as you reach later points in the game, but you do have to eventually replace them and know when to sell them. So I plan to put those items on Aurelion Soul, mainly just because Hat and the Spell Crit item, he just insta-wipes every non-dragon, so you really want to try to aim for that. Guardian Angel, very flexible. You could put it on Swain, you could put it on Gnar, you could put it on literally anyone, and you won't regret it. So super flexible item, and that's just why I built them in the early game, just because they're so easy to complete. And luckily, we do have a pretty good health total. We're at 53 right before Raptors with 70 gold, which we just used to pre-level. So we definitely want to hit level 8 right after this and start rolling for all of our legendaries. A lot of times this game is more about rolling. I feel like this patch, you have to make a lot more of those 50 gold roll downs versus previous patches, just because each composition is very reliant on completing all your level 4s and level 5s, whereas before you could kind of get away with just having like a level 1 Cho'Gath, for example, during a Void meta. But right now it really revolves around getting 2 costs epics and legendaries. So as you roll down, pick up all the epics and legendaries as you can, just to reduce the amount of champions in the pool. So you could kind of see me doing that here. I'm really just rolling down for any sort of upgrade, but here I put in dragons instead of the Jace, just because dragons are slightly stronger even though they don't really have items. But I do have 4 sorcerers in right now, so I'm probably needing to sell the Morgana. In a perfect world I would have sold her, but I just ran out of time, and that costed me a lot of health, because I could have rolled down to 0 and I could have made a better swap. So here we get the Karthus 2, which makes me change my mindset. Honestly, this is a mistake. I would not I would not put these items on Karthus, just because Karthus is a little unreliable in a dragon meta, because guess what? Even though he's going to get a huge ultimate off, it's going to be against all these dragons, you know? It's not actually going to kill them. He does have a few hyphy plays, but he also gets interrupted quite a lot. But we do get these cool plays where he one-shots entire enemy teams, which is really cool, but I don't really care too much about being cool. I just want to win the game. So I do think it was a mistake completing Karthus, and I should have just Nico'd Aurelion Soul because he wipes teams as well, insta wipes them, but he doesn't have to risk his entire life doing that because he has to. Karthus has to channel for like 2 seconds or something like that, and if he gets stunned in any way, you're just screwed. It's no going around it. No kind way of putting that. Whereas, Karthus ends up overkilling most people anyways, so it's really just not worth it at all. Like, look at that. He just gets interrupted, and I lose 20 health for this. Where I'm at 30, I lose, 19 health, sorry. Completely not worth it. If it was Aurelion Soul, he'd just get his ultimate off. And look at how low these guys are. It would just kill all of them, you know? So again, huge mistake from my part. I'm also still running 4 sorcerers, so it kind of wastes my Nico as well. So I definitely should not have done it this game. However, we're able to pick up the Quicksilver over here, and Quicksilver negates crowd control effects every, I think, 3 seconds they changed it to. So it's able to help our Karthus a little bit. Now the build becomes really fun. Now you get to see the actual power of it, but again, much more reliable just to throw it on Aurelion Soul, especially since I already had the Sorcerer item, the Yuumi, on the Gnar. So we get the Swain here. I just swap it out for Shyvana. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. Swain 1 with no items is kind of useless. In fact, Shyvana 1 might be better since at least he has a dragon buff. Not really too sure here, but I think it's honestly inconsequential. You get hilarious games like that. He wasn't even able to interrupt my Karthus. But again, you could do the same thing on Aurelion Soul with these items, so that's why I recommend playing Aurelion Soul instead of Karthus. But we are able to get some cool wins like that, and it is fun to watch, and it just feels a little risky, you know? It's like a risk that isn't really necessary. And here, when I scout around, I should have noticed there are 2 Akalis. One's on the left, one's on the right, so it's actually really hard to dodge. And here, my Karthus just gets completely blown away. So we're at the dragon. Luckily, we get this Phantom Dancer. Phantom Dancer, really, really strong item on almost anyone. So we see the Swain 2 here, or another Swain here. I don't actually really need it, because Swain 2 with no items, it is good, but it isn't going to win me the game. I'd rather get level 2 Kindred so I get reliable ults near my Karthus. But honestly, it's still a good item. I think I end up putting it on Pantheon. Let's see what I do. So unfortunately, I have to sell the Kindred there because I was being very silly and rolled too many times. In hindsight, I should have just locked that and bought the Pantheon after the fact. Pretty silly on my part, to be honest. But yeah, put the Phantom Dancer on Pantheon. He's able to just hopefully get 1 or 2 more ults off because of it. But again, we get to watch the Karthus do his thing. Always put the Kindred next to Karthus because if you prevent Karthus from dying, he'll be able to finish his ultimate. And honestly, the Phantom here is better than Guardians. I don't think I'd put Guardians in instead, even though I only need 1 slot to do that. Just because Kindred both protects Karthus and Phantom can sometimes just win games on its own. We're facing this guy. Yeah, Pantheon gets a huge ult. Karthus, huge ult. It's actually pretty funny. Karthus actually autos Draven to death. I have no idea how he managed to do that. Maybe he did a bunch of critical strikes on auto attacks. I have no clue, guys. And I'm very silly. I skipped over a Kindred there. No need to remind me in the comments section, but I really want this Pantheon too. Pantheon is probably the strongest unit in the game right now. Him and Kai'Sa. If Kai'Sa has perfect items, Kai'Sa's better, but if you don't have perfect items, then Pantheon's better. Just because Pantheon can literally use any item in the game. There are very few items that are bad on him. We get the lucky Phantom on his Draven there, but actually he gets the Kayle ult and it actually saves him for quite a long time, but it would have been an easy victory anyways, just because of the power of Karthus. Like, even if the Draven lived there, he'd be 1v5. at that point. So I sell this Pantheon and pick up the Swain because there's a Swain in my queue. So I actually end up completing the Swain. The item isn't that great, but it's a little trick that you can employ in your game maybe as well. So pretty much during the carousel round, the champions you can buy in your shop stay the same for like a split second before the round starts. So you just have to be very fast and sell units and buy units accordingly. So there I was able to get the Swain from that, which again, he doesn't really have too many items, so it's not that big of an upgrade because he has a Zephyr. Zephyr is a very good late game item. That's another reason why I got that item in the carousel, but it's not a good Swain item, so that is the one drawback. But level 2 Swain plus a good late game item, I'm not going to complain too much because I could put Swain anywhere. I don't need to frontline him. In fact, I probably shouldn't frontline him because I don't have Guardian Angel, but I end up frontlining him this entire game. Probably a mistake on my part. Yeah, there's no more Hextech, no more Blitzcrank, so I just put Karthus in a corner, and then he's just going to ultimate and kill his entire team, and there you go. I love this item combination. Really fun to do. Hopefully you guys can try it as well. Maybe you can do it on Aurelion Soul, or I mean, it's not terrible on Karthus, but you need Quicksilver when you do that, which isn't an item that people normally build. But hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hope you guys learned something that you need to adapt to your items. For example, I had Yuumi, so I didn't need the extra Sorcerer. Whereas if I didn't have Yuumis, what I did probably would have been fine. But you always need to change what you do every game and try to adapt to every situation. I didn't hear, and I didn't get punished for it because the Quicksilver bailed me out, but hopefully you guys don't make the same mistakes in your games, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe, and of course smash that like button. Each like is an LP I gain before the next video.